Have you ever found yourself working all evening, well into your weekends for a boss that just keeps piling on the work? You get an assignment late in the day, the deadline is insane, and he just expects you to make it happen without any questions asked. And the worst part is, when you try to push back, he flies into a rage, guilts you, shames you, and makes you feel that your job is on the line. But there is a way that you can push back without triggering his rage, risking your job, and keeping your evenings and your weekends to yourself. And so in this video, I want to share with you a simple strategy that you can use to assert your boundaries that acts as 5 layers of defense. But first, because I'm new here, hi, my name's Lawrence James. I am a senior project manager at a big tech firm here in Ireland, and in 2016, I married a cultist. I then spent 3 years in a toxic relationship, and now, 7 years later, I am still studying psychological manipulation and toxic abuse. So that's enough about me. Let's get into how you can better manage your time at work so you can reclaim your evenings from your toxic boss. So first, toxic bosses are just built different. They have unrealistic expectations, nothing's ever good enough, everything's got to be done now, and they're nearly impossible to reason with because, quite frankly, they're emotionally unstable. Now, if you're dealing with somebody like this, you can employ what I call the 5-layer defense strategy. I want you to think of yourself like a castle under siege. And when your boss starts demanding the impossible, he's at the gates, you don't sally out to meet him and face him head on. You fall back strategically, 1 layer at a time. Now, your first layer of defense is this. Replace okay with sounds interesting. The best thing to do is just not let them in the first place. And if you say okay, then you're agreeing to vague requirements that toxic people can then interpret and reinterpret later, even after you've delivered what they're asking for. You can't win. And while saying okay will commit you, saying no makes you a problem, makes you what I call a stopper or a blocker. Within the corporate hierarchy, the boss sees you as the employee whose job it is to obey instructions, to follow them without question. So you don't want to be a blocker, but you also don't want to commit right off the bat. So instead of just saying okay, say, that sounds interesting, that sounds exciting, or that sounds important. One of those 3. Let me give you an example. Boss says, I need this done by tomorrow. Wow, that sounds important. Can you tell me a bit more about what's needed? I need this by next week. Well, that sounds exciting. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's needed? What this does is it slows down their demand and allows you to get clarity on what exactly it is they're looking for. And more often than not, you'll find that their request is going to take a lot longer than you originally thought. Now, once they're in the gate, you're going to fall back to the trade-off defense. You need to use the magic statement, I can't guarantee that. In most corporate settings, work has 3 factors: speed, quality, and effort. I want you to imagine it like a triangle. You can't have all 3. If you want something done quickly, then the quality is going to suffer. If you want something done well, then it's going to take a bit longer to make it happen. If you want something high quality in a short time frame, then you're looking at injecting a huge amount of energy in order to make it happen. Now, this is something that can be done in the short term, but not something that can be sustained. It's the fast track to burnout. So the trade-off defense works like this. I can do this by tomorrow, but I can't guarantee that it's going to be 100% correct. Or I can do it properly, but it's going to take longer than 24 hours. The effect this has is it's going to force them to choose between quality and time. Do they want it done fast or do they want it done right? Now, to be clear, you're not agreeing here. You're not signing yourself up for work that you can't do, but you're also not getting in the way either. Now, if they're still not bending, you move on to the power flip strategy. Can you help me? So if they're pushing high quality in a short time frame, you need to alleviate the last remaining factor, effort. You can do this in 2 ways. The first is cost. Can you pay for something that is going to get it done quicker or to a higher degree of quality? And the second is resourcing. Can you bring on more people to help you get it done? Now, the problem here is that toxic bosses may fly into a rage if you start demanding this of them. Within the corporate structure, it's already set up who's the instruction giver and who's the instruction taker. And if you start challenging this, you risk damaging their fragile ego. So here's the clever part. You ask them to help you secure it. Can you help me get 1 or 2 other people to work with me and make it happen properly? Can you help me get a bit of budget so I can make it happen quicker? And the smart thing about this is they still feel in control But now they have to be involved in finding a solution rather than just dumping the problem on you. Now, if they're being completely unreasonable, you fall back to the last line of defense. That's impossible. Sometimes you do have to draw a hard line. And the framework for the final stand is this: I can, I can't, unless. That's impossible. I can deliver it by tomorrow, but I can't guarantee the quality unless you help me get more people, more resources, more money, etc. Again, here you're just making the consequences of their demand very clear. You're not saying no, but you're not committing to something you can't do either. You don't want to be the reason that their request doesn't get done, but they're never going to admit fault either. Now, the reality is, it is their problem. They've come to you with an impossible demand. But if you accept the problem, then you make yourself blamable. If you make them feel like they are the problem, then they can lash out, get angry, guilt you, shame you, and make you lose your weekends. But if you execute the last line of defense properly, you can make the problem become the problem. Which brings me on to the last point, the paper trail. If you fall back to this last line of defense, make sure you give notice. Toxic bosses thrive in ambiguity because, as I said earlier, it allows them to interpret and reinterpret events as they will, is to get you to accept all responsibility for the failures of whatever it is that they're getting you to work on. So once you've made it clear that their request is impossible, you have to follow up in writing, be it on email, on Slack, on Teams chat, whatever it is you use, create a communication and send it out. Hey boss, just confirming, I can complete it by X date. I can't guarantee that it will be 100% correct unless you help me get more people, more money, or more time. And be specific as well. Be specific about the number of people that you need, the dollar amount that you need, or the length of time that you will need. And once you send that communication out, especially if you CC other people on your team or your manager, whoever it is, then it locks them into that expectation. It prevents blame shifting at the end of the day, and it can help keep your job and your boundaries safe. Now, look, I can only give you advice that's worked well for me and other people that I've coached. I can't guarantee this is going to work for you every single time. So if you truly want to cut toxicity out of your life, you need to put distance between you and the people that are causing it. You don't have to sacrifice your weekends and your evenings to somebody else's bad planning, even if it's your boss. So take back your time carefully. Let me know what your experience has been like in the comments, and I'd love to hear what strategies have and haven't worked for you as well. And a final note, just remember the bottom line, okay? You weren't put into this world to go to work, pay taxes, and die. You are so much more than that. Toxic people will use you because you have something that they need. You don't know how much power you really have. Don't give it to them, use it for yourself, and take back control so that you don't let your future self down. So look after yourself, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.